You're listening to Parasearch Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
It's Monday evening, and you're listening to Joe and Gemma on the Supernaturelle show.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to this week's episode of the Supernaturelle show. How is everybody today? Is everybody okay? What you been up to? Sun's been out, loving life at the minute. Tonight, everybody, I have a wonderful guest for you tonight. It's Mr. Garry Fields. Good evening, Gary.
Good evening, young lady. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, super. Loving this time of year. It's just great getting out and about everywhere. Love it. Can't beat it.
Don't you think when the sun's out as well, it makes everybody feel happy?
Yeah, much lighter energies around as well. So a great time to get out and about, sunshine and positive time of the year. Fantastic.
Oh, you've been out a lot just lately, haven't you, Gary? I've been noticing on your Facebook page. Not that you're not usually out often, but I would say been out more than ever just recently.
Yes, I've had a week off from my Monday to Friday position. So obviously when I get time, I think I've done about 7 or 8 invests since a week last Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not, no.
How and where do you find the energy for that? I would be exhausted.
I am a high energy medium. So again, I wrap myself up basically in the daytime, basically. So I prepare myself and save like a bit of a storage tank for energy. So I save a lot. And then once I go out and about, you're free running then, aren't you? So you're just getting on with it. Do you know what I mean?
I think I'd be running on empty. I honestly think I'd be running on empty if I'd done that many investigations. So out of those 8, where have you been?
Oh, daddy. Oh, where have I been? I started off. I usually get called sometimes by spirit of my team to nudge me into an area and a direction. I actually went out a week last Thursday with Michael D, who done Scariest Places, the spoof.
Yeah.
We went off to Thornton Huff and we had a little look around a village in the Wirral, which dates back many a day. And we were picking up loads of stuff there. And I'd done a live feed, and that's what I usually do. And I bring a lot of things onto Raw Paranormal, which I always try and upload on my YouTube channel. But that's what I usually do, just get called off the cuff. And I could see the old Thornton Hall. I could see myself inside there when I was standing outside. So I could see a gentleman waiting for me inside, but I couldn't get into the building. But obviously, I get drawn to the area. And then from there, I went down to Ince Marshes, which is on the banks of the River Mersey. And it's an old village that dates back 700-800 years to the monks travelling underneath and tunnels and the boats across the Mersey, which set up Liverpool. And basically, but I was drawn there by a monk who's now actually part of my spiritual team, and he's been waiting for me for about 8 or 9 years.
Mm-hmm. Gary, can I just ask a question?
Certainly can.
It's very rude of me. I do apologise, but are you using your mobile phone for tonight's show?
The mobile phone is on, yes. Would you like an iPad?
No, I could just hear your notifications coming through, that's all. And if I can hear it and Kerry can hear it in the studio, I'm pretty sure everybody listening can hear it too.
Do apologise. I have got a laptop and it just came through the phone first, so I just answered on the phone first tonight. So.
I do apologise for being so rude and asking you that, but I can hear it, so I just wanted to double check whether or not it was coming from your end. That's all. So so spirits sometimes call you in.
Yeah.
What do they call you in for? And well, first off, how do they call you?
How can you explain? Like some people might hear spiritually, like a little child crying or something, and then they have to visit a graveyard or find out more information of what their they can hear or sense something that's just niggling away at the back, and you're thinking, right, I need to get to the bottom of this. I need to find out what this monk's about. So I actually done an invest on the churchyard there, and I picked up a nun that had a link with the monk. The monk is actually known as Franco, and he was half Irish Italian. And I was drawn to another building then around from the graveyard, and I walked up to the building, and it looked like a pump house, an old waterboard house, building. And I thought, is that a waterboard house, or what is it? And as I was looking at it, I was like, that's the old monastery. So that, from the churchyard, it's took me straight to the monastery. And then when I've got home, I've actually linked in then with the monk who said, I've been waiting to talk and communicate with you spiritually, and he's part of my team now. So again, it's another addition for another area that I'm being helped with as well within my team.
Yeah, you see, I like to ask all these questions. A, because I'm not a medium, and B, how do you learn unless you ask these questions, right? So, and you know me, Gary. My favourite question is either why or how.
Why or how? Basically, my beliefs. I never put my beliefs on. I always believe everyone works in different ways. In what way they do works best for them. That's how you build on it. But what I'm a big believer in is trying to adapt as you're moving forwards, is developing and tapping into your extra strengths, pushing you on the extra boundaries of finding out why that's going on myself. So when I seen earlier on from when I was 5, from my first experience, I've always asked the questions, a lot of deja vu, things tying in, but I quickly moved on to where I am now. Obviously become a Reiki master. From there, I've done a lot, learning to be a wizard and developing my not witchcraft, but basically my inner self, where I'm learning extra skills and developing in extra areas and fields that other people are working in as well. So again, it's just tapping into it and bringing that into your circle. So anything that's on the boundary that you're not sure about, it's like going to find out, and let's bring that in. Let's understand, how do other people work, listening to how they work and going, well, yeah, I've had a bit of that experience. I've had similar things myself. So I'll veer off into that, and I'll just try and nudge myself in the right direction. And my team, to be honest with you, they're not never far off the mark. And that always comes to me from your gut intuition as well. And I've always built it from there. And then the spiritual, the mind's eye, some days it comes in from behind. Sometimes it comes in above the ears. Your natural ears about an inch. Sometimes it comes in front. So as you can hear my door going there in the background, I do have a window open, so I'm going to debunk that.
Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff I do. It's just, I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So I suppose it's pushing the boundaries, where you've had the shows on with time travel and all that. I'm a massive big fan in trying to get to extra depth and all that. I believe time travel will be linked with energy. And I think that them two will overlap, and some way, form or shape, that will give us some type of time travel ahead. So,
well, when it comes to time travel, Parasearch will be doing a show on that, and it is not to be missed, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But going back to like your guides and your team, as you call them, Gary, how do you get your team? Where does your team come from? I know a lot of people say that anybody could be a medium. It's built within you. You just have to progress it. But how and why? Again,
obviously from me auras and the universe that I work with, I just try and get the team to, spiritually, I was called to the Tower of London. And halfway down to the Tower of London, I've got people in and around me as well on this plane that do this as well. So I'll talk to them. You will be greeted when you get the Tower of London, Gary. Go and experience it. They will also link in with what's going on in and around me as well. Not just for me, but they're learning as well. So we're learning each other's traits and trends. Do you know what I mean? So as soon as I got to the Tower of London, I was told to give a coin to a young girl at the front door, the front gate. And then I was greeted by King Owen of Wales, which I now believe is going to be Prince Owen of Wales. On my invest that I done last week, that's where I met Prince Owen of Wales, was in Corwin. So he's actually got a statue there. But when I was greeted there, he had a lot of stuff taken by the English. I'd done a compromise spiritually with him with the English spirits that was there because he had everything taken off him by the English. And then I was given an eagle in a thank you. So that's where you see me when I put a sign up on a Facebook or a tweet or anything, I will always put a ghost and I will put an eagle because that's part of my team. So I've been added that as a thank you for working and communicating, going back from the 1600s. So that's a thank you of spirit that's given me the strength of an eagle. So the strength of an eagle would give me that direction of whatever an eagle can sort out spiritually in your team, they will protect in that certain area when that type of animal needs to kick in and help you with like a grizzly bear or another animal spiritually. It's like a deck of cards. You're just being given another card to help you within your growth as you're developing as well. So I come home from London and then I've done a Reiki treatment. And it just blew my mind away that the little girl came through from the Tower of London and said, thank you, that coin fed my brothers and sisters for a week. And I was just doing Reiki at the time. So I get that acknowledgement back where I didn't have the acknowledgement of the Tower of London. I was given acknowledgement back through a Reiki treatment 5 or 6 days later. And it just blows your mind away. It's just like, right, that's all tying in. So the picture doesn't give you the answers there and then. It adds up as you're going through the next few days.
So just going to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
And bear with me because you know what I'm like. I like to go down these little rabbit holes, Gary. So there is absolutely no scientific proof that there is such a thing as the afterlife, but yet you communicate with, we'll call them, what do you normally call them? Do you call them ghosts, spirits?
Say spirits, energies, entities, obviously.
So you're communicating. So how do we know that it is communication with spirit, entity, blah, 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 and not telepathy?
Well, when I've had situations, we went to, let me go back to another church. We investigated, I think it's, I've been told off for how I pronounce this. It's like Tremorgan Church or whatever. There's a church, I think it's
Todmorden.
That's the one. I've done that church, and obviously that's been derelict in the past. But actually, when I went into the cellar there and I brought a spirit through, because I do a lot of trance mediumship and I do a lot of transfiguration mediumship. And when I was talking and communicating with the spirit, I said, "You're linked with Carlisle," and he said, "Yeah, that can take, that's fine." So as I'm talking and communicating with the spirit, I said, "Right, I want your address." So he'd give me the address, he'd give me the start of the address. My friend came home and said, "I can see your mansion that you've got links with here from something being taken from the church or something going on at the church, money-wise." And when I got home, they actually Googled the start of the address. We didn't even put the end of it up. And there was the hall that I was describing, that I was in Todmorden, and you could see it as clear as day. And that was in Carlisle. And there's just, how do you put that link from being, hundreds of miles away and you're linking in, describing the building that I've never been to Carlisle. I've been through Carlisle up to Scotland, but I've never been there.
Well, that could be explained with telepathy, though, really. Not that I'm saying it is. I'm just saying, devil's advocate, because we have to look at everything from every possible angle. And if there was somebody there that knew that information, they could have been thinking it, which transmitted it to you.
Yeah. That's fine. But what you've also got is, that's why I love the simplistic answers of yes and no, because you can get to the bottom of everything with just a yes and no. So am I on the right lines? Yes. If I'm not, if I get a no, I'll go and ask the next question, because my team give me that information for a reason. Why have you given me information? And then it builds on. So it's like a piece of a jigsaw. If I see something in my mind's eye, or a cine film like clip in my mind's eye, and I'll say, "Oh, why are you showing me that?" Right, okay, you've got links with, I might see a beach, you might see a cove, could be somewhere in the Barbados or anywhere. And then you just throw that out to that person, it ties in, it links in, you can see it spiritually. And again, there's different ways of working with different levels of light as well, from down there right up to the highest.
Yeah, because like you say, you do trance mediumship as well.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not. I know little bits about trans mediumship, and that is it. So,
best way for me to describe it as a medium, I always try and give people the experience of what I receive, how I receive information. And I'll always, in what I do as my daily profession, I always try, and I think that's why I'm in that area, is so I can help understand people of how they need to receive it, to experience it for themselves. So I'm like the go-between of trying to explain what a medium receives, what's going on in the aura, what's going on in the universe, to what that communication is trying to be told to me by the spirit and the energy and the entity. And I'll try and relate that with the person in and around. I'll mix it and blend it with their aura, and I'll try and give them like 30% of that energy without it fully stepping in. So obviously I'd only do full trance on for myself if I'm around my Reiki masters, because I want to come out of it. Do you know what I mean? So it's trying to give that people that experience of going, well, you can have 70%, you can have 50% of the strength of that energy. I wouldn't actually go and put it 100% in, because you've got to be in control at all times. And being professional, that's what I always try and do as well.
Yeah, because I guess you have to stay in control. I mean, in all fairness, we're already getting questions in the chat room. So Paul Rourke is in the chat room, and he's just said, with the church so dead against communication with spirits, why do most spirits come across as monks, such as Borley, 30 East Drive, etc., especially as they don't believe in ghosts? Why do you think that is?
Well, what I've always said for a long time, what do people wear in their attire at them certain types of areas? What would people be wearing on the streets of London? Dating back, what would they look like? They're not looking like how we would dress today. So, again, a lot of people will be quite well wrapped up, cloaked, hooded, whatever. You've got to think of what era you're working with. And if and around, when I've had some communication with spirit, they've looked and gone, basically, what clothes do we wear today would stand out back in them days. And as spirits and monks, to me, I feel that it's a bit more of whatever's gone on the land as well. So a lot of people would have travelled this country. There's been billions of people that's lived before us spiritually, so their energies are around with the monks. I just see it as that's the old way that people could not afford a lot of clothes, and they would have been well wrapped up. They would have had the cloaks on. They wouldn't have had central heating. So 9 times out of 10, they would have been carrying heavy weighted clothes to keep them warm as well. So at East Drive, I'm going back there again. I believe it's from the land. Again, I see that as an executioner from the land, but I'm waiting for somebody to say, yeah, I feel you're right on the right tracks. I think through the years, I think it's a piece of cheese, and as negativity grows, the piece of cheese gets stronger, then you get a bit more heightened activity.
Oh, you see, I'm with you on that. When it comes to 30 East Drive, I'm not backwards and going forward, and it's well known what I think and feel about 30 East Drive, and I don't believe for 2 minutes there is such a thing as a monk there. And I do think a lot of East Drive is hysteria. It's people going in, hearing all these stories, seeing all these TV shows. So basically they're feeding energy into a building, which is creating said activity.
Well, I'd done a 48-hour lockdown, and I was left on my own by the second day.
What was the reason for you being left alone? Was people that bored?
It was, I think it plays a lot of mind games. A lot of energy plays mind games and works with your thoughts, and you're in a process of what's going on. A lot of energies will drive off fear as well. So a way of, as you say, if spirit energy's in and around, and it's got a way of going, you're going to feel uncomfortable. It'll make you feel uncomfortable unless you say, well, that's not affecting me. I'm in charge here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to 30 East Drive so many times, and just like you have, I've also I did a 3-day lockdown in there. And I'm not going to lie, it was the longest 3 days of my life, Garry. But then I don't feed into hysteria either, and I'm not easily frightened.
Well, I always go in raw, you see, so it doesn't matter what building. If I've been in there before, I will say, I have been here before. I won't tell people what they've picked up on. If they come to me at a break or an interval, I'll say, yeah, just keep going with that. I've had communion with that before. I won't give them anything. Do you know what I mean? And I ask people not to give me anything. So we're looking now at venues that's not been done before, because, again, it's about getting out and about there. And, again, it's supporting everything across the country. I could bring people to this house and they will experience. My house is fully protected. I don't let a lot in. But, again, it's that training, the development. It's helping people understand of what's going on from loved ones or friends or family as well. So there's a bigger picture with it all as well. So I always feel there's a level that you can deliver. There's a right time and right place to help somebody in where they're up to in their life as well with experience. You know what I mean? I've stepped inside a negative energy on a very massive scale at a very low level place. And obviously, because I'm a trance medium, somebody said, oh, you scared me, because that energy was trying to fight its way from me. I've encapsulated it to move on, to take round the corner in the same building and just remove it from there, because people are there to enjoy the experience, but at the same time, we've got to protect them as well.
I think a lot of the problem with that is I think a lot of people feed into other people's personal experiences. Now, just because one person's had a personal experience in a location doesn't mean to say that other people are going to experience it.
True.
And it is exactly that. You've got to remember that a personal experience is a personal experience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you'll start at the start of the night and you'll ask people to say if you do feel uneasy or you feel oversensitive in another area, give what you're given at that time, at that moment, because that's unique to what you're experiencing, or what you could have an energy or an entity right next to you that somebody might not be sensing and picking up on as well. So always give what you're given, and that's the most important thing. There's no right or there's no wrong ways with as a medium works, in my eyes. It's just give your experience of what you've experienced on that night, at that time, at that place. That might never be given again. So again, if people can make notes and keep hold of that, that's fine. If people come across it again and build onto the more evidence and get deeper into their communication, somebody might not want to talk. Somebody might link into you and then go, well, okay, I'm getting used to this energy. I've seen it twice now. I feel I might be able to trust this person. Some spirit energies, depending what they've had on this plane when they've lived, they might have had a lot of problems and issues to deal with. So I try and cover the whole range. I've been into a room where I've done house clearances, and I've stepped straight into a room where the old lady, she had dementia.
Okay.
So as soon as I step into the room, my head will be spinning, and I will just go, right, okay, spirits, I know you're here. You're male or female, stand back. Go back in your time before you were ill or you had the ailment. I'll communicate with you then. So you're in control then. So you're taking that frustrations of that person's last memory of dementia, of the illness, and asking them to go back 5 years before they've had an ailment. Then you can talk and communicate. It's all about working out on what's going on in and around you to start with. And then you can start to deliver of where you're up to with helping, communicating. And it's just trying to get to the bottom of everything as well. So I love getting to the bottom of the stories, the histories, and who they were married to, and take the elements away and bring them back to the good times, you know.
Don't you think that's the problem? They're going back to where it all begins, because although I'm not a medium, it works the same for a paranormal investigation, right? So you have to build your case from beginning to end, right?
We try our best, yeah.
And is that how it works with mediumship? Do you need to build a case?
Well, no. I mean, what I'm trying to do is, it's like if you've travelled 3-4 hours, you want to get as much information as you can within the right set of mindset that they can communicate and talk with you. You're not going to go in there hustling, bustling. And I've been into a place which was actually Plas Teg, and we were filming, and they've gone in and put a load of music on. The first thing to me, all I see is spirit energies just going to the top level out the road. And I'm going, you've just totally done all that the wrong way around. So again, you've got to respect the places that people go into. It's just the ways that other people work. I can't be in control of everybody. So the first thing I'd say is go and have a cup of tea. Oh, turn that music down because it's not helping. Do you know what I mean? It's just their way of unwinding when they're getting ready to go and do what they need to do. And I've said, oh, you just need to turn the music down and let the environment breathe, because you've just invaded its space. You've pushed your energies onto it too quick, too soon, and everything's moved away as far away as it can from you, because that's you've just got to give a building the full respect. You know what I mean?
But for somebody that's not a medium, so if you had a group of people that there wasn't one medium there, then they would struggle to know what that building's wanting, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So I always ask for the onion layers to come off. Give me the oldest energies first. Give me the oldest layers first. Come back from the 600s. Come back from the 800s, 1800s, because whatever energy is trying to filter through, let's make the night and come through with the energy, the strongest energy. That's fine, but just give us the information and let me help explain that as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not about, I do it day in, day out, so I can receive that when I want, but I just try and help people from A to B in their life of experiencing what we experience, and I love giving people, I'm not a tech guy person. I'd love somebody to just work with the basics, and that's what I'm trying to give them, that experience of feeling the energy and the strength or the sensuous smells that's coming in and around as well, and asking the spirits to relay that to that person.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. You see, I think that I love the tech because I love to find out how it works.
Yeah.
It's all about the whys, isn't it? Do you see what I mean? I'm very much about the why. So I love the tech because I like to know how it works, but a lot of it is completely irrelevant. And if I'm totally honest, I don't believe for 2 minutes that any of the tech that's out there is going to prove the existence of spirit. But I also like to go back to basics, and you've seen this for yourself, Garry. So I will take myself and go sit in a room.
Yeah.
And just sit there and just get a feel for the place. You've seen that for yourself, so you know that I do actually do that.
That's what it's about. It's combining all that with a night or an investigation, or it's all about giving everybody's traits of how they work and mixing it into the pot to try and get that evidence out to make it as seen, as strong as you can. You can do it in black and white. You know what I mean? Automatic writing. How does that work? Do you know what I mean? Simple things again.
But again, that could be down to the subconscious.
Yeah, that's fine. But as I'm saying, if you're combining that with somebody in another room, psychic, artist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, get it completely separate. Oh, yeah. Then I would be prepared to look at that. But singular, you could quite easily.
Combine that all on a night of investigation, send one person into a room and work with automatic writing. Ask somebody that does psychic art to go into the furthest room away from where that other person's working, see what they pick on, see if they connect it. I've had that many a times with people tying in and experiencing. And you know yourself, you don't try and cross-contaminate at any break times. I'll always ask people not to give what they've experienced. So when that other goes into it, that they don't just run with what somebody said of a break time or an interval or anything like that as well. So it's always trying to hold back as much as you can, but you want to give as much information as you can. And it's so hard as well. Yeah,
you see, I get where you're coming from, but I suppose it's really difficult for somebody that's not a medium to not take it on board, but to fully understand, because how can somebody that's not having that experience fully understand it?
Yeah, I'll carry a blindfold with me, and I'll ask the person to put blindfold on, and then if they want to do a lone vigil in there, see how they get on with that, and then just see what they pick up on as well. So I'm always trying to push the boundaries. I'm always trying to push the connection, and it's not trying to go the quickest, the fastest, or in depth. I'm just trying to give people to experience of seeing the spirit that we had the other day. We had a psychic artist, Drew, when we went to Lord Elgin in Knutsford. And when we went back through the photographs, the image that the artist had drew was the image that we captured on the photograph. And that was the image that I picked up 2 years ago in the paper, in the Sunday Star.
Is that on your Facebook, Gary? Can I have a nosy at that?
I've got it. Yes, I've got it. It was in the Sunday Star. Just trying to think. It was the 5th of November. I've actually got paper here now. So that's where we had the cue ball moving at the Lord Elgin. And we had box rocking on the counter. So I've got the video of all that. And I actually mentioned the Grey Lady in that article. So that was the lady that came up on the drawing and the photograph. So
Paul Rupp is on fire tonight in the chat room, Gary.
Who's on fire, Paul?
Paul Rupp, yeah, the boss man. He's just said it annoys him when people get ill on events and it's instantly assumed that it's spiritual instead of ruling out medical. You see, Paul is a medical person, so, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I completely agree with him, actually. You have to rule out anything physical.
If somebody asks me to go and do a house clearance, personally, I will ask them personal questions when I go. If I'm getting a lot of activity going on, you've got to subconsciously work that person out. Have they got medical issues?
Oh, massively, yeah.
Are they doing A, B, C, or D? And then you've got.
So what is A, B, C, or D? What is your A, B, C, or D?
Well, some medication can be too strong for some people. I'm not a doctor. I am a practitioner in healing. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a natural healer. I'm a helper. That's my path. So when I go, I've got to break down what's that person up to in their life, basically what's going on in their life, not knowing it too in depth. Personally, I've got to break down of, you know, if somebody's either hallucinating or anything like that, I've got to break down with the protection of going in. I'm going in blind. I'm being hit by the kitchen sink. So I've got to work out. I've had an old lady that could see her partner in spirit in a house clearance. She must have phoned every paranormal team up I know in the northwest of England, but she was actually, her partner was waiting to collect her, but I couldn't say to her, darling, you're quite close to the end. I know why you keep seeing your partner.
Yeah.
But I can turn around and tell her that. It's not my time or place to say that. But I know when that lady rings me, I can see her soul. I can see her soul getting ready to move on. And it all depends how different mediums work. And sometimes I can't give what I can't give, even though I know what's going to happen. I know it's so hard. And this is where I'm trying to give people the experiences. Being a medium and where you're up to and how strong and how connected you are can bring 1,000,001 things. It's not just bringing one thing to the table. So if I go to the shop, I will walk through the parade. I will walk through a lot of souls. I will walk through a lot of energies. I'm wrapped up when I go to the shop, so I'm protecting myself. I don't need to be hit with the kitchen sink.
So how does that work? How can you, do we call it protect yourself?
Yeah, well, I always say, if you feel in fear, you shrink your energy in. If you feel happy, you vibrantly put your energies out. So again, everybody must have said, oh, I walked in that room, like you could cut the atmosphere with a knife.
Yeah, so everybody said that in the lifetime, I'm sure. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you know when there's something not comfortable in a room. You know if it's a positive or a negative energy in and around and what's going on around. And it's not just about energies, it's experience of everyday natural. It's being aware of what's going on around you as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to take the whole universe on board of what's going on in the universe and break it down individually. What's going on in this country isn't going on in another country. I've had links with certain energies popping in from over the pond, and people have talked about it. And 2 weeks later, that energy or entity has popped in and around. And you're like, hang on, I need to slow back. I need to see where this is coming from. So sometimes it could be the gentleman down below sending a few curveballs to upset the apple cart. But I don't obviously mention that. I've dealt with that so many times. You're not welcome here. I know who you are. I know where you're from. Clear off back to where you need to be.
Thank you, Mo, for going.
And I've had that in trance, and I've had that. I was actually investigating a pub, and a negative came through, tried to show itself as something else. And I went, no, I know who you are. You're just trying to upset the apple cart. See you later. I know where you belong. Go back to where you need to be residing because it's not here. So again, it's all about being in control. And that energy and entity is trying to show itself to try and drive everybody in fear. And I was like, no, you're not. You're not happening, mate. Clear off.
Clear off. Just do one. Just do one. Okay, so back to the chat room. Paul said, if you conduct an experiment and you get what you class as a good spiritual evidence, and someone 3 months later down the line, someone in the science community explains it away as explainable, do you accept the response, or do you start up a discussion?
I always say I'm a big believer. I'll totally take on board everybody else's theories. It's not about Garry Fields. It's about people putting over what they've believed at that time and place. People send me photographs, and I always say, I don't like to comment. I like to be there to experience of actually what's gone on at the time and the place. So I like being part of that, to explain of what I can put an explanation on it for myself and go, yeah, do you know what? You're not far off the mark there. I'll take that on board. That's fine. That's great. That's fantastic. That's building onto what I've experienced. That's fine. That's what they've experienced. Combined it. Try and work it out. Get to the answers. Try and get to the answers, because I know Reiki is the only known thing to scientists how they don't know how it works.
Yeah, you see, I know, again, that's something that I know little bits about, but I am not a Reiki master.
But this is what I'm saying about what people don't understand. They will skip over the surfaces, and they might be pagan or Wiccan or a wizard or witchcraft or whatever they do and everything else. But if you combined it and you take everything as a logical and energy and entity on board and understand and take the lot of what's going on, you'll try and explain it. But this is where I was coming from at the start of the show, is I read Celestine Prophecy. That book changed my life. To me, energy will give the answer with time travel. And that's where I was coming from earlier on with Reiki, is energy. If people really need to understand what's going on in and around them, they need to know what energy is going on in and around them as well. So again, if you're open to receive and you work with auras, you work with if you work with, you're a healer or anything like that, try and develop and push your boundaries, try and learn and understand it. But you have got to be open to receive. If somebody's closed off, I can still give them an experience. It's an experience of spirit in and around.
But you see, this is it. I think when it comes to, especially when it comes to paranormal in its umbrella term, I think you have to be open to everything. You can't discount, I don't know, Bigfoot, but believe in ghosts, because is it not? It's all under that same umbrella. So if you're going to discount one, you have to discount them all, surely. But I think a lot of it goes down to people's belief systems as well. Yeah. I did an interview recently, and in researching for that interview, as much as I agree with, the gravitational pull could be causing effects that resemble paranormal, a lot of that was also belief system. Sure. Which for me takes it away from the paranormal, if you like, because you can't explain it because it's a belief system.
If you take on board as well, if I do a reading, I was going with a clear mind. So whatever's gone on in the day for me, it's a clear mind. I've got a blank canvas. So when I go anywhere, I've got a blank canvas.
Well, I mean, tonight, classic example, Garry, if you don't mind me saying, you knew you was coming on to talk to me tonight, so you pulled a card.
Yes.
And what card did you pull?
The strength card.
Which means?
Just don't waste your strength in the wrong direction. Where are we now? So your strength card will also relate, obviously, because I do have a lot of dyslexia as well. And the strength card, where are you? What else have I had? Keep focusing in the right direction as well. Basically, you've got all the tools: physical awareness, success, recovery from any illness, health, quiet, courage, and strength for position. So you will gain. It's like a little bit of a setback, but don't waste your strength in the wrong direction. And Stick to your values, keep embedding your values.
And that, I mean, bearing in mind that the last time I spoke to you, Garry, was when we was on an investigation together. I've not really spoken to you since then.
No. I trust my team.
You actually have no idea in anything that's been going on in my head, and in all fairness, that card is actually quite relevant to me.
Yeah.
At the minute.
As again, my cards are 34 years old. They've been passed to me by another medium. Sometimes when I link in, I can actually see that the fireplace, the house, that previous owners had them cards in. So I'm picking up on that energy that's been in and around that situation before. But that's why I ask people if I have a reading. I say, have you had a reading done before? Yes, because sometimes I can link into the person that's read for them.
Right, okay. So do you have to know somebody to do a reading for them? So if you was to pull a card now, would you have to know the person that you was pulling a card for?
No, not really. I'd ask my team to get drawn to that person without even seeing the name. Do you know what I mean?
Can we try it? Because Paul's been quite active in the chat room, Paul Rock.
I've left the lovers card, though. I've left that out.
Yeah, the lovers card's out for a reason.
So I'm going to go back to that one.
Yeah.
All right, so there's 78 cards in the pack. And I'm not going to think of Paul of me trying to get anything off Paul, but I'll just naturally, because you mentioned the name Paul, I'll just go to my cards and pick a card randomly for Paul. Okay? Knight of Cups, that the young man now is starting to see the wood for the trees. So again, I will ask him, with my cups, they are like a Chinese cracker. I like to give back in the universe. Paul, I want you to write 11 things down for yourself that you'd like over the next 12 months. Envisage it. Write 11 things that you would like, not I want, I like. Write 11 things down for me, please. Put it in today's date, envelope, and just see what the universe brings back to you within the 12 months' time. Open it up in 12 months' time. 2 or 3 things come around and about. It's a bonus. It's a way of the universe giving back for you, Paul, as well. So, again, but you are starting to see the wood for the trees. There's water missing in the middle of the card where if things have been stagnant and stale, I'll expect things to start flowing for you. But I need water in the middle of the card for it to go from the top to the middle to the bottom. So it comes from the dam to the stream to the sea. So I'll pull another card for you, Paul. Okay. All right. What I've got there is now I've got the 7 of Wands, which is basically you don't need to fight fire with fire. You're learning to dodge, duck, dive and weave away from situations in your life and staying away from arguments. It's like talk to the hand. But if you need to fight fire with fire, you will do, but you don't need to. You're just trying to keep everything pushed away at the distance.
Paul, get in the chat room. Tell us if you can understand anything of what Gary's just said. I'm changing your name now, Garry, to Paul. I do apologise. Fine,
that's no problem. I've been called this.
Oh, was that the first ever card reading done on Parasearch Radio by any chance?
And it actually come up with strength moving forwards as well for Paul. Basically, what you don't need, get rid of, upcycling as well. So that card's come out as well, but he's closed the chapter and he'll be stepping into new energies. I'm seeing an island as well, which is for him coming up again, and step up financially for you as well, Paul. Sitting pretty where you need to be as well with the Queen of Pentacles to step up financially its way for you within the 12 months, young man.
Paul has just said he can totally get that, and he thinks a few of us that know him will know that too. But he'll do the list.
Well, as again, it's just using.
But is that list not just for Paul? Should everybody be doing this list?
Well, if you think of your bucket list in life, how much do we shut off and go, oh, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that, and we put everything off? Bring it in towards you. Take the next step. You do something about it. Bring it in. Use the universe. Bring it in. Sorry about that.
I just went on a little trip there, and I think we've lost Garry, everyone. Are you there, Garry?
I am. You just come from my tripod.
Oh, we haven't lost Garry. Garry's back, everyone.
You switched around. You've gone to the left now, Jem.
Have I moved? No, I do apologise. I must keep still. Do you know what? That was actually quite funny. That literally, I was just looking at Garry because I can see Garry, so everybody at home actually see Garry, and literally the phone and the tripod has just fallen over, and I was like, oh no! End of the show. Look, we've lost a guest.
Phone rang.
Your phone rang.
The phone rang 5 seconds after it flew out.
Oh.
It's right as well. Yes.
Oh no!
That'll be an answer to your message.
You can't get 2 minutes peace and quiet, can you, honestly? So, well, Paul's obviously extremely happy now because it is like this time next year I'm going to be a billionaire.
Well, it's not about a billionaire. It's about let's take small steps moving forward and let's see what comes again. And that's come out the second time. Stop it.
Technical difficulties right now, everyone. Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, it all happens on the Supernaturelle show. That is for sure. So, Garry, what have you got coming up? Because you are obviously, you're always out and about. Anybody that's got you on social media can see that you never sit still. If it's not the football, it's the paranormal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, my first was the football. Obviously, I've been going since 1974, so that is embedded in my blood. But to me, the paranormal world, the paranormal field it's just what I love. It's just what I enjoy doing. And it's just that thrive, and it's a massive big part of my life. And I could have gone to Madrid the weekends, but I felt I needed things to do at Friday night when I was at Holt Castle. I had a lot of things coming through at Holt Castle as well.
What did you get on Friday night?
A lot of information of what was going on there. I just get drawn to tying in with information from the last place because it was quite local. I've done like 3 local castles, and there's been like a link with 2 of the castles. I've done a battlefield as well in Hope, and I've done, I think it was Packhorse Bridge. I've done that. Done Caergurley Castle. I've done Holt Castle, and I've actually done Castrel Dinas Bran Castle, which is in Llangollen, which is all within a vicinity of 10 or 15 miles of each other as well. But again, that's linking back, I feel, with the battles that went on between the English and the Welsh. And we had some French invaders coming through as well, so tying in with a lot of that as well on the land.
So how do you think that history impacts? Because I mean, yeah, like Paul's saying about time travel and stuff in the chat room, and if you've not read his blog that he did on time travel yet, it is actually well worth the read. Although I may not understand is it DeLorean references and things like that because I've never seen Back to the Future.
Right, yeah.
In fact, I don't watch that many films because I do have this thing where I put a film on and I fall asleep.
Yeah, but that's relaxing and unwinding, isn't it?
And this is exactly what it is because the minute I put a film on, it's the one time that my head just goes blank and then it's like out for the count.
Yeah, so again, the time travel. I think everyone's searching for the answer for like so the future ahead, aren't they? Or going back in time. It's that belief and the understanding. I'd ask Paul to go and read Celestine Prophecy book and understand from where I'm coming from with the future to me is possibly energy and time travel. We've all heard of the scientists in Switzerland where they've had the like the vacuum that can go like 1,000 miles an hour and get portal one thing from A to B from one end to the back end, and there's a lot of information trying to be pushed down this energy moving this certain speed through a tube from tunnels on below Switzerland, and there's scientists experimenting with everything. I'd like to break into Area 51 officially, like be asked to go there, and then we'll.
That wouldn't quite be classed as breaking in, Garry, if you're to go.
Well, I've had to be politically correct there. I've had to reword that now because I can't do any urban because obviously what I do as a job. So I've got to be obviously invited. So invite me to Area 51 and I'll bring you along and then we can get in and get to a few more of these answers. Well,
I think we should all be able to go to Area 51, actually, if I'm honest.
I need to go over the pond now. I think it's time to get over to America now.
See, Paul, I think Paul's already packing his suitcase. I think he's definitely with you because he'd love to, air quotes, officially break into Area 51 as well. So I think Paul's packing to come with you now.
Well, what we'll do, Paul, we'll unquote it and we'll say we'll ask if we can go to Area 51.
Well, do you know what? Trump's in London at the minute, so, could you not ask him for...
Well, Gem, if you believe I've tweeted him to see if I can investigate the White House, you wouldn't believe me, but I have done as soon as he got in, because I thought the man's as mad as a box of frogs, and maybe we might go for it. But I've tweeted at him. I've asked, if you don't ask the questions, you don't know.
Well, this is very true. You don't know if you don't ask, do you? You have to ask.
I've asked Trump the question on a tweet. I didn't get a reply, but I've asked. I put it out there.
I think maybe you should keep tweeting him because, he's here now, isn't he? You should have just popped over to London.
Yeah, definitely. But as again, the timing's right. And Paul, another thing there as well, I'd love to go and do the Inca Trail. Why is the connection with that high up in Peru? We need to go and experience these places. I just don't want to be staying here in the UK and picking up on everything here. I've got massive links with Stirling Castle. I have got a massive link with castles. I know that from the battles of my past lives of what's been brought through. That makes sense to me. I know who's in and around my team that's got links with Stirling Castle. And again, my guide's about 8 foot high, so I know I'm being pushed. I know the timing's right. I asked a question in my mind the other day. The first response I got back from my team was, wait, be patient. Okay, that's fair enough for me. It's not about me pushing myself onwards and forwards. I've got 1,000,001 things that I want to test the boundaries to even strive further ahead. Somebody needs to come along on me on that journey and guide along as well. So when them people are in and around, oh God, it's just like I know what to do with TV shows. I know what people want. I know what castles to investigate. I know what areas to go to. Let's get to Canada. Let's get to South America. Let's get to Africa. Let's push the boundaries. Let's get to Australia.
You see, this is it. I mean, there is a whole world out there. The paranormal isn't just in the UK.
No. You see, as well as, again, somebody said to me, I'm asking Spirit when I was in Castel Dinan Bran Castle the other day. I'm saying, talk to me in Welsh. I've got friends that can translate that. And I had nothing through on the box. I had nothing through on the reverb. Nothing like that through. But I asked the questions. I'm like, you give me something of your tongue. You give me something of your times at your days. I will go out there and find out. And I'll ask the questions to people in and around me as well. So I want the evidence as well in all this. But I will also then ask Spirit, talk to me in the universal language, which is my language. So I'll ask the question twice. So give me what you want to talk to me, how you want to talk to me. If you don't want to talk to me, it's fine. I can still communicate and know what you're about. Like I had a very strong male presence up there that was very, very arrogant. I'll talk to you as and when I want. So I will return there in about 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 8 weeks. And then he'll go, he's back again. And then I'll take another onion layer off and I'll say, right, why didn't you talk to me last time? Come and talk to me now. Because back in them days, that energy didn't want to talk to me because that's how it was. When he was around, you would be quiet. You will not be spoken to. You will not be seen. You stay out there. I'll talk to you when I want, because that is an authoritative figure that I was picking up on. Sorry if I went on a little bit one then, but I'm just packing about it,
It's all right. Let it out, love. Let it out. It's what we're here for, isn't it?
I'm just driving. I just love it. I just love getting a little piece of information. I could have something as special as just talking to a very good friend, and I say, am I okay to give you this at the right time, the right place? If I've talked to them before in the past and they're on board with what I do. And I'll just say, I've just been given a buttercup for you. Oh, thanks, that's me auntie, that's me Gladys, that's whoever. And that will relate, but obviously there's the right time and the right place, do you know what I mean?
So how do people react? Like people that don't know you, don't know that you do deal with spirit. How do people react when they find out?
I always say seeing is believing. So that's why I do the transfiguration. I've had full manifestation. I've encapsulated a full manifestation over me on an investigation. I've given the public that experience. it'll only happen when the energy's right, the timing's right. The people have got to be open to receive. So if I am with a group and it's the right energy, it's the right atmosphere, and the people are waiting to receive, if you've got a group of 20 and 15 of them are non-believers, my team will instantly just get drawn to the 5 of not like, give them that experience tonight, Garry, because that's what they're here for. Do you know what I mean? It's not don't work with them. It's give them experience, the confidence of the partners that they might not be a believer if they're with a partner that's there on the night. Oh, I'm only here because they've brought me here. I've had that. And I spent an hour.
Yeah.
I've had an hour and a half with them people trying to give them that experience. And spirits will go and automatically go, you're wasting your time, effort and energy in the wrong area there, Garry. But I will still keep trying to give them that experience.
Yeah, I think everybody that goes on paranormal investigations, I think everybody does have those people that are just there because the other half dragged them along, right?
Yeah.
I think the amount of people that have support with that, but I usually find that the big people with the bravado are the first people that are clinging on to you, asking what on earth's occurring.
Yeah, definitely. If what goes on the night, I try and retain it for what went on that night and that evening, for them people to experience that, for them to go out and talk and do the good work and go, well, I've experienced, I know who that person was that's come through and communicated with me tonight, Garry, spiritually or family member or wherever we've been on private house readings or anything like that. And I'm just like, well, you go and spread the words. I know what I'm doing. I'm never far off the mark. Again, I've got the trust and the passion with the evidence that's come back and feedback that I've had before. It's not about me. I'm trying to give as much information and help people understand, look, there is something else out there to tap into. Try and tap into it.
So the other question then, Garry, how do you think that all the paranormal investigators and mediums and any other belief systems out there, how do you think we can progress the paranormal field forward?
Getting out there, experiencing. I love going to a quiet place, go back the next day, go back twice, go back 3 times. It's not about going back to the same place or the same location. Again, if it's quiet one night, it's just quiet one night. There's no 2 days the same usually, but you've got to get out there and experience it.
Oh, definitely.
I
think when it comes to investigating anyway, I think you have to go several times. How are you going to put anything together if you've only been once? You're just going on a one-off.
Yeah, well, if we go back to Stanley Palace and we had the lady there at the end of the night that never said much, and then when I showed them the picture of what was drawn there from what we picked up on 5 or 6 years previous to that, that's the gentleman I keep seeing at the window every time I pass Stanley Palace, and I'm going, well, why don't you say that at the start of the night when you just had your wall up and you wouldn't talk to us? It's just like, I know you're a medium, so do you know what I mean? It's just, it beggars the belief sometimes how people work and try and test you and push you to the boundaries and the limits. I'm like, if I'm wrong, I don't mind being wrong. I will always try and give you the 100% of the best that I'm trying to get to receive, to pass on information.
Well, nobody's right all the time, eh?
No, but as again, we never stop learning, and that's what I love. If I'm learning in 40 years' time, I'll be a very happy chappy because I'll still be doing this.
Exactly. Every day's a school day, without a doubt.
It certainly is.
It really is.
It certainly is. I just, I've been to some amazing places, and some of the places are just walkthroughs. I'll do walkarounds, and I'll say to people, what you're experiencing on the other side of the camera on the live, I'm trying to bring people in that can't get out and about, who are restricted. I'll try and bring them onto an investigation or a walk around. I had it the other week in Corwin. I went up to a witch's circle, but prior to that, we went to an old workhouse, and I had loads of kids with me, and 2 of my friends, they couldn't walk into the graveyard because as soon as the 2 males walked into the graveyard, myself and the cameraman, the black energy just came shooting right across us in Corwin Cemetery. And it was like they were petrified. But their team was telling them to stay out. So I was holding that energy back to deal. I'll go back to that cemetery and I'll deal with, and I'll say, well, why have you done that in that way? Don't overpower the lady again. Don't do that in that way again. Do you know what I mean? So there's unfinished business. And then I'll have 5 or 6 children to work with me who try and communicate all the time as well. And you just get drawn to them energies as well. It's just, it's like opening day. And the chapters just keep changing every day of the spirit energies and spirits that keep coming forward for communication and help and work and crossing over to the light. And, you know.
And on that note, Gary, we are right out of time. That hour has gone so quick.
Well, I
remember
your first question of what have you been up to?
I know.
It's just amazing. I just love getting out and about there. I'd love anyone to join me. And I always ask people to take pictures, screenshot, see what they see. We'll always try and debunk it first. Let's get rid of what we need to get rid of, and then we'll just take the filters out, and then we'll see what we're getting. We'll just try and get as much information as we can. But I'm trying to give them people out there the experience of what it's like to be me, and experience what it's like about the spirit's energies that's in and around them.
Well, Gary, thank you so much for joining me tonight. You have been an absolute star as always.
Oh, pleasure. And thank you for all your hard work and your back team staff that I know are always working busily, fruitfully around the clock, trying to sort stuff out for your wonderful shows.
That'll be Kerry Greenaway live in the studio, face palming and shaking her head.
And hopefully she's blushing now.
Yeah, well, she's laughing now, so that's all good. So seriously, Gary, thank you so much. To everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for being interactive in the chat room as always. If you do miss any shows on the Parasearch Network, head over to YouTube where you can find every single show ever gone out. There is also an archive section for past shows. And as Kerry would say, don't forget to click like, share and subscribe. And from me, it's good night, everybody. See you next week.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.